Bill Maher pulled a Kramer. He pulled a Kramer last night. Okay, not exactly, but he did mention the word nigger. Okay, so, it makes me think of Louis C.K. Whenever you say the N-word, the thing that the person thinks when you say the N-word is nigger. You think of that word, nigger. So he's like, well, if you're going to say the N-word and then you're going to put the actual word in my brain, why don't you just say the damn word? That's not, what the fuck? So he is a house nigger. Let's actually see what he says, okay? So he's sitting there saying, why don't you come to Nebraska? He's talking to this senator. He's like, I got to get to Nebraska more. And he goes, you're welcome. We'd love to have you work in the fields with us. And then Bill Maher says, work in the fields? Senator, I'm a house nigger. No, that's a joke. He's right. He is a house nigger. That's exactly why he supports Hillary Clinton, because he's a house nigger. So let's carry on, okay? So Judge Hernan Cristoso, he put some of these right-wing fucking fascist assholes that Nixon and Kissinger helped to erect in Chile. He's putting them in jail. You got 106 intelligence officers for the kidnapping and murder of 17 leftist activists in 1974 and 1975. They killed 16 leftist activists, leaders in the community, people that would have helped make Chile better. But because Nixon and Kissinger thought that we could intervene in nations whenever the fuck we wanted to in our backyard, which is what they called South and Latin America, they went into Chile, assassinated Salvador Allende, a democratic socialist who was elected president, and they were going to make the economy scream. They were going to put a shock doctrine down upon Chile by gun, capitalism by gun. It's all true, I shit you not. So after Nixon and Kissinger went ahead and got Salvador Allende eliminated, they said that he killed himself, but give me a fucking break. That's being suicided, right? If anybody ever says that no, I didn't commit suicide, somebody murdered me, avenge my death. That's what I want my tombstone to read. What are you just standing there for? Avenge my death. I did not kill myself. I love myself too much to be able to do something like that, okay? So thousands of people were tortured, had to go into exile from 1973 to 1990 for 17 years. So once Kissinger and Nixon got that democratic socialist kicked out, assassinated, killed, then they installed Pinochet, who was a right-wing military dictatorship, and they're going to make Chile's economy scream because they were going to institute capitalism by Milton Friedman's way, the Chicago boys. Sell all the government assets, try to increase exports, don't have any fucking welfare. Big ups to Hernan Cristoso. Hernan Cristoso. It's never too late to get justice. I love this thing, and I also like it because it totally goes against the narrative of what's happening in the U.S. right now. In the U.S., we didn't need to politically assassinate the Democratic Socialists. All you needed was the Democratic Party to fuck over Bernie Sanders, and then he's such a sycophant, he's still kissing the Democrats' ass, right? But that's how we got rid of the Democratic Socialists here in this country, and now we got a right-wing con man, carnival barker, bullshitter, a used car salesman, imperialist, pro-corporatist, plutocrat piece of shit. So we went ahead and we voted for a shock doctrine. We're going to get shock doctrine here in the United States. That is 100%. Of course we are. It's Trump. He doesn't, you think he's going to give a single pair? He said it before, but he don't believe anything he says. He'll tell you whatever you want. Trump's book, a book that he actually shadow wrote. He told the person to write the book, and then the person goes off and, anyways, in his book, he said in The Art of the Deal, he tells people what they want to hear. That's what the fuck he did. He told people what they wanted to hear. Unfortunately, as a Republican, he basically threw out every fucking possible liberal idea in the goddamn, garbage. So even the legalization, he once said legalize all drugs, but now he doesn't even know if marijuana should be legalized. He's got that fucking Sessions in there who says that you're a bad person if you smoke pot, and he tries to equate pot with heroin, which is what everybody in America has been doing since motherfucking Nixon. Okay, so here in Chile, Judge Cristoso sentenced the former intelligence officers between 541 days to 20 years in jail. He also ordered the state to pay $8 million in compensation to the victims' families. Agents sentenced are two former generals, César Manríquez Bravo and Raúl Iturriaga Neumann, and several senior officers at the National Intelligence Directorate, DINA. So among the agents sent were two former generals, César Bravo and Raúl Neumann. It'd be interesting to see exactly what they did. The Pinochet government tried to cover up the disappearances, either saying that the victims fled abroad or they'd been killed fighting between rival leftist groups. So that's the fucking lies. That'll be the lies. Okay? If you start seeing leftist activists die and they said, oh, they went overseas, or oh, they got killed by another liberal group, be skeptical. Be very, very skeptical of that. So kudos to Judge Cristoso, who is actually getting some justice after, Nixon and Kissinger's war crimes and their capitalism by gunpoint. But we have to deal with that problem here in the United States. So when they start doing that here, save, are we going to do the same thing? Are we going to save the leftist activists? Right? First they came for the trade unionists, then they came for the democratic socialists, then they came for the Jews, and then nobody was left to speak for me. So is that what's going to happen in the United States? Are we going to have to retroactively arrest these intelligence agencies who are disappearing people? Hopefully they don't. Hopefully they don't do that. But if they do, right? I mean, there's Seth Rich and some other weird shit that happens. Right now, ICE is just going around picking people up off of roadsides. Are we going to put the CIA and these intelligence officers and these right-wing, assholes in bar? Hell, we got people that kill in Fremont County, right? Yeah, the police officers are able to murder and get away with this shit. Every once in a while, right? $3.5 million for the estate of Samantha Ramsey. But I didn't get any fucking justice. So if you're a white man, you have no... I'm going to talk about Hillary Clinton versus Donald Trump. Bill Maher wants to make the argument that the difference between Hillary and Donald Trump is the schism is so wide, it's so obvious, she is clearly the lesser of the two evils. I don't think so. I don't think she's the lesser of the two evils. Cornel West did a decent job, even though he totally got ambushed. But in the top of the segment, Bill Maher first pointed out that Betty Shelby was the cop in Oklahoma that shot the black dude, right? Show me your hands. He had nothing on him. I don't even think they found drugs or anything on him. But he died, right? They shot him in the head, and he's dead because Betty Shelby. Well, Donald Trump, they asked him what he thought about it, and he said she choked. He talked about how great law enforcement was, but he's like, well, she choked. And so that was Donald Trump's take on it. Bill Maher said that Hillary would have been better on that issue than Donald. Well, Donald said that she choked. So are you sure about that, Bill? Bill Maher is not going to learn the lesson for the next election. He's going to tell everybody just to get in line. The whole question between David Duke versus Donald Trump is not that Hillary is David Duke, it's that Trump is Hillary. David Duke is the more extreme, so Trump would be the lesser of the two evils. Bill, you're going to keep on compromising? The Clintons have been triangulating, for about 2-3 decades now, right? Triangulating, pretend to be right-wing fucking corporatists, but they've lost their goddamn soul. They don't even know what the fuck progressive even means anymore. So, are they that different? I don't think that they are. I cannot think of really one issue. Actually, there was one issue that was mentioned. And then I'm going to talk about him saying, nigger. At the end of this. But first, Hillary versus Donald Trump. What can we say? Okay, let's just go ahead and say what's the same, right? Hillary was in favor of the wall. She wanted a wall between Mexico and the United States. So her immigration policy, Obama was the deporter-in-chief. So are you telling me that if Hillary was elected, we would have had less immigration, we would have had less deportations, we would have had less right-wing fascism upon the immigrant's family? Maybe it would have been just for felonies, so, maybe it might have been somewhat slighter, but he was the deporter-in-chief. She's going to carry out Obama's policies. She's going to carry on with his, being a deporter-in-chief. She also believes in war. She believes in right-wing war, just to show that she's tough, right? Well, before I get to the war thing, when the crime bill, Bill Clinton was anti-black, 3-strike rule, massive incarceration. So it's actually anti-American people, to be honest with you. So are we sure that Hillary would have had a better position on the Betty Shelby shooting, murder in Oklahoma? I don't think so. I mean, they had the Justice Department, what they did in Ferguson, the Obama administration. I think that was better because they had better reasons. Donald Trump said that Betty Shelby choked. She choked. I don't remember Hillary saying that she choked. I don't remember Hillary criticizing her at all. Maybe she did. Maybe she did. She had some of the Black Lives Matter supporters, which is ironic since they opposed Bernie, but Bernie would be better for black folks. Anyways, so with war, Kissinger Hillary loved Henry Kissinger. Henry Kissinger, who coup d'etat Chile. She was all about the imperialism of Henry Kissinger. That's why Bernie slammed her about that. So, but that's her worldview. As the State Department, as the head of the State Department, that's what she was doing. She was doing it in Ukraine and in Libya and in Honduras. Really, anywhere that they wanted to go, they went. Without the permission of the Congress or the United Nations, if the president wants to fucking invade somewhere, we just invaded. And why? Because the goddamn war on terror? I mean, that Bernie, you know, Kissinger, Hillary, KKK, what else can we say? So she's a warmonger. She's a warmonger in Honduras, in Libya, in Ukraine. I think there's some justification for Ukraine. I think there is some justification to stop the imperialism of Russia or the imperialism of any other country, but only through the international channels, only through the United Nations. Get the permission of the fucking United Nations and the American people. Get the Congress to declare the war and then get the permission of the international community. If you can't get American people on board and you can't get the international community on board, fuck you and your goddamn war. You declare that war and you fight it your own goddamn self. Nobody should even listen to those authorizations or those orders because they're illegal. Right now we're in an illegal war. We didn't give Donald Trump the authorization to go to war. That was given to George Bush. What, 100 fucking years ago? So how does Trump sit there and say, in Russia, they were calling Donald Trump the peace candidate. Oh, he's the peace candidate. Ah, get the fuck out of here. He went ahead and jumped into Syria, so he's basically proven himself to be a right-wing establishment fucking warmonger just like anybody else, okay? So he's bombing Syria, right? He said he wasn't going to bomb Syria. He said just let them all kill themselves. He criticized the Afghanistan war. He criticized the Iraq war. He said let's just get out. Let's just go home. But nobody was loving him. He wasn't getting all the love, you know, for saying all, you know, actually the ideas that I agree with. But now Donald's bombing Syria. He's got 20, you know, he's got the shadow war in 20 different countries in Africa. We're starving the shit out of Yemen. We're helping Saudi Arabia go to war with Yemen and killing people there and babies and, you know, who the fuck else ever. Starving the shit out of an entire nation. Still in Pakistan, still in Sudan, still in Afghanistan. He's a warmonger. Donald Trump is a warmonger. It's clear that Donald Trump is a warmonger. Can we be certain that Hillary wouldn't have been doing the exact same thing? The first airstrike that Donald Trump had, you know, dropped down was Obama. Obama had done the planning of the bombing, and then they handed it to Trump, and then Trump went ahead and executed it. And so just like every other president, they always set the next president up to keep the fucking war going. It's like they trick them or some shit. But if Hillary would have got into that seat, she's the warmonger. She's to the right of Obama when it comes to Libya. At least Obama was in favor of the Egyptian revolution and other ones, I think Tunisia too. But Hillary, are you trying to tell me that she's a warmonger for the coup d'etat in Honduras? What she said about Syria, let's just use this one example. When Donald bombed Syria, she said his mistake was that he told Putin about it. You shouldn't have warned Putin, Hillary said. Well, why not? Well, because she wants to... Clinton had criticized Donald Trump about Syria, saying that he shouldn't have warned Putin. He should have just, you know, possibly started World War III over this crazy shit. So she's actually to the right of Donald Trump. Donald Trump didn't want to start an international crisis. He didn't want World War III to happen, so he let Putin know that he was going to drop some airstrikes. Hillary would have just done it and then, you know, basically try to punk Russia out, see what they were going to do. And so she is to the right. She's to the right of Donald. She would have dropped those Yemeni bombs. She would have bombed Syria without telling Putin about it. Would she have done the shadow wars in Africa? Probably. You know, this shit started under... I mean, it was under Obama and Bush. I mean, they've probably been doing it for fucking, you know, decades now, but is Hillary going to stop that? Is she going to walk away from power? Has she ever just walked away, peacefully just walked away from power? She thinks, you know, the presidency is hers. She thinks it's her birthright. Kissinger, Hillary wanted a wall between the U.S. and Mexico. Kimmel show, Hillary said that in regards to the legalization of marijuana, the research is out. That's why we need more research. And Jimmy Kimmel is a right-wing fascist fucktard. Fuck Jimmy Kimmel. I don't know. I like Jimmy Fallon better. But, I mean, they're all comedians or what have you, but Jimmy Kimmel just strikes as a fucking psycho, right-wing fucking asshole. Okay, so Kissinger Hillary wanted a wall between the U.S. and Mexico. She was a warmonger. She was to the right of Donald when it comes to the war in Syria. When it comes to marijuana, she said the research is out. Donald Trump seemed to be somewhat partial to legalize the marijuana during the campaign. He, in fact, in 1990 said all drugs should be legalized. But now he's got Jeff Sessions in there. But you trying to tell me that Kissinger Hillary, she wouldn't have been declaring war on drugs? She wouldn't have been going after marijuana? She thinks the research is out. Get the fuck out of here. Marijuana is a lot less dangerous than war on drugs would have continued under Hillary. The war would have continued under Hillary. She would have built a wall in between the United States and Mexico. So the war on drugs would continue to go on strongly. She was also pro-TPP. She was for this corporate sellout, this NAFTA for Asia. So the big sucking sound of all the manufacturing would have gone, would have left. And then it would have also give corporate control over national sovereignty. So issues dealing with corporations, they would have their own tribunal. So that would remove the United States out of that, it would be a whole nother court that we would have to listen to. So she was in favor of TPP. So was Obama. She would have got us TPP. That might be the only fucking thing that Donald did okay. He killed TPP as soon as he fucking walked in there. It's dead on arrival. And good for him. Good for him on that issue alone. Every other thing he has fucked up. He said he would give us single payer health care, but he won't. It's to universal health care. We see what Trump is doing now, right? Cutting the 23 million Americans off of health care. It's going to be hugely unpopular because it's going to be a disaster. It's going to be a fucking wreck. It's going to be a train wreck. This will, basically kill all the careers of every Republican who votes for it. Republicans don't care. It's not a health care bill. It's an anti-health care bill. It's, the Republican don't care bill. It's the death panels. It's the Republican, these are literal death panels. They're going to kill 23 million people, Americans. 23 million Americans are going to be killed because of the fucking Republicans' austerity measures, right? Less taxes, save money, that's what all they give a shit about. Wait, what about my grandma? She's dying. Who gives a shit? You pay for her operation or you lose your house. So what's it going to be? You going to let grandma die or you going to, live your, rest of your days in motherfucking obscure poverty? Now, can we say that Hillary would have got us single-payer health care? No, we can't. Fault Bernie Sanders on single-payer health care. Hillary was very clear about universal health care. She says we should just keep on dealing with Obamacare. Keep Obamacare in place, and then let's just keep building off Obamacare. So that was a huge private insurance sellout. So she wasn't for single-payer health care. She wasn't for Medicare for all. She opposed Bernie in the platform, the Democratic platform, of which 60% was Hillary's ideas. So they fought Bernie on single-payer health care. That was her baby, right? That was her baby. But she wouldn't have got a single-payer health care because she loved Obamacare, which is a sellout to the fucking insurance industry. Now, she's for the wall on the U.S.-Mexican border. She's to the right of Donald when it comes to matters of war and peace. On marijuana, she's to the right of Trump. She was for the TPP. She's also a fucking fracker. She would have fracked the shit out of all of America. Think about what liberal issues was Hillary better on Trump then? She over-triangulated. She is to the right of all these people. She isn't even, how is she even remotely a progressive? That's why she said, yeah, I'm a progressive, but I get things done. She didn't want to keep the progressive label on her. She, ceded the progressive label. Yeah, Bernie, you're a bigger progressive than me. I'm a right-wing fucking fascist. Good triangulation there. So, gun control is a liberal issue, but I'm a pro-gun socialist. So, that issue, if you're like, I'm in favor of gun control, that's why I voted for Hillary. Okay. She's right about abortion, okay, but I think she goes too far. She says that you can have an abortion up to 9 months, so, hell, why not 18 years? Always kill the child, right? Is women's rights mean you can murder your children? No. 9 months is too fucking long. Get that abortion way before the fucking end. You're going to tell me you've been pregnant for 9 months and you didn't know about it? Now, if there's complications, you couldn't get the funding, you couldn't get the money, you couldn't find a doctor, there's a lot of things that do happen. And so, I think that there are extraordinary circumstances that requires some people to have to do such an operation. But I just don't like the idea that a person thinks that they can murder, their own child. If it's basically a full-grown baby. The way they do a partial birth abortion is they pull the baby out, but they don't pull it out of the vagina. They stick a hose in the back of its head and they suck its brains out. A 9-month-year-old baby, right? A 9-month, 8 pounds, 9 ounces or whatever. You could hold it in your hand. It has a heartbeat. It's got brains. It's got fingers, eyes, toes. So No, you need a line. If you're, I'm pro-choice, but, you got to have a line. But she would have been right on abortion. He's wrong on abortion. Donald Trump has flip-flopped on this issue, just like Mitt Romney. Who the fuck knows what the fuck these assholes believe, right? They're pro-choice, pro-life. They're not pro-life. They're Republicans, so they believe in kicking people off of health care, declaring war on everybody. So they used to be for it, but then they go against it. So Trump right now is saying he's pro-life. So fuck Trump. Fuck Trump. He's absolutely 100% fucking wrong about that. 100 fucking %. So on abortion, she goes too far, but she's closer to being right. So abortion. She's got points for abortion. Then someone said the environment, and I was like, holy shit. He wants to dismantle the EPA. He's letting the Keystone Pipeline and the DAPL pipeline go through. But then shit, I think Obama just, basically submitted to the pressure. That's why he stopped the Keystone Pipeline. But she's fracking. She's going to frack the shit out of the entire country. She's never met a resource that she wouldn't rape or destroy for profit. Thanks, Chris. In regards to Saudi Arabia, she got a lot of donations from the Saudi royal family, right? That's what these business people do. They just donate to both campaigns because they, just hedge your bets. Fuck it, I gave you both money, so one of you assholes are going to do what I want. So Saudi Arabia gave money to Hillary. She was sitting there talking about how, if she's really anti-woman, then why is she taking money, or she's pro-woman, why is she taking money from Saudi Arabia? She didn't say shit about Trump. She didn't say shit about Trump taking. So I'm getting tired of these fucking hypocrites, these secret Trump lovers, and I think there's a bunch of them. A bunch of Bernie Sanders supporters are Trump fucking lovers, or they're pussies and they can't stand up to Trump. It's easier to attack, the Noam Chomskys of the world, which is Chomsky-ish, Chomskyism, Chomskyist. To criticize Chomsky, the left gatekeepers, but also, the fucking Republicans doing the damage. Said he'd be the most pro-LGBTQ Republican president ever in history. That's probably true, but I think there is some bias. There is, some borderline issues that I've already seen. I haven't seen anything overt yet. I don't think he's going to undo gay marriage, but the Supreme Court, stacking the Supreme Court with all them fucking, conservatives, Gorsuch. But then Obama picked a fucking conservative for his Supreme Court nominee, right? Obama picked a conservative. Trump picked a conservative. If Hillary was a continuation of Obama, she would have picked a conservative too. Maybe on abortion, she's better. On environment, she would have fracked the shit out of, the entire country. So maybe a little bit better on the environment, not much. She sold uranium to Russia. You want to talk about meddling with Russia? She gave them fucking, the uranium to build the nuclear fucking bombs. Hey, you want some more nuclear weapons? Here you go, Russia. We're not enemies. We're friends. Thanks for the money. That's identical to Trump, right? We're not enemies anymore, Russia. Here's some fucking uranium. She, did say that you should have told Putin about bombing them. So in a way, it does make me a little nervous. That means they think that they had Putin kind of in a fucking corner. They had him contained, and now he's not contained. And with the defense of Ukraine and that used to be the Soviet Union. So I think Russia probably would want to, hey, those are our countries. Let's get our countries back. So I think there should be a kind of border wall there of militarism, some sort of, I think NATO makes sense to stop Russian imperialism, absolutely. So, there's some justification with Ukraine. ISIS, I can't stand ISIS. Fuck ISIS. Let's, go through ISIS like crap goes through a goose. Grab them by the nose, go wherever they go, get them wherever they're at, and then come the fuck home. We're not trying to occupy, we're not trying to steal no fucking oil, we're just trying to eliminate a goddamn threat. That I agree with. I'm getting older now, I'm 35, so I don't know, I keep on getting more and more conservative, but it just makes sense to me, right? I don't want to be so liberal that you love, predators. You just hug a bear and be like, no, protect the bears, and then they're sitting there just murdering people. You should kill the bear before it murders people. So